Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our World of Paws series.
Today we're discussing the upcoming graphic novel from DC Comics, I Am Not Starfire.
No, you're not.
And DC believes that they will finally outsell manga with it.
Sorry.
Why? What? Why?
DC has gotten into a trend of reimagined versions of beloved characters, cranking out graphic novels as many as possible. Now, this is an attempt to compete with manga. I'm sorry. Since it's outselling every comic company.
Yeah.
So they really think I'm Not Starfire will be the book that's gonna beat manga.
Yeah. And before we get into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates of future podcasts and World of Pause videos like this one.
Full disclosure, first of all, we have a wonderful, massive comic book collection.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it doesn't consist of any comic books from the last probably year and a half because honestly, the quality has gone down.
Right.
Significantly, drastically. It's full of violence and gore, graphic violence, sex. There's no story, there's no plot, there's no interesting characters, and the characters that you love are no longer the same. So, full disclosure, anything before the last year and a half, we love. But as recent, no. The comic book industry here in America really has let comic collectors and readers down.
Yeah, pretty much. And DC has been on a trend lately of, like you said, making graphic novels. Because the comics are so paper thin, you can finish them in like 5 minutes. If you can just skip all the violence and things, you're done and just so quickly.
And this also leads into making movies like with Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, it's not TZ, but heck, it's the same thing, and that's a thick book.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, forgive me.
Yeah.
Same difference.
They're basically the same thing. Yeah.
Using the same attempts at trying to get the audience back.
Right.
Lost.
Now, with the graphic novels, in case you don't know, the DC calls them the YA, so for young adult. That doesn't make it any better, but okay. And they've been on a stream for a few years of doing graphic novels, and they take characters that you know, and they have certain people reimagine them in different situations, like when they do constant reboots, but they're not canon to the main storyline that DC has.
Right.
Like we reviewed Gotham High, where Batman, Catwoman, and Joker are in some type of bizarre love triangle,
or unrecognizable as characters.
Right, and all of a sudden it became a mystery at a high school. All the villains and stuff are at a high school for some reason.
So when we learned of this particular attempt of DC to get back the audience they've lost, there was no way we could resist doing a World of Pause on it.
Right.
And we have to let you know first that the author of this book is Mariko Tamaki, and she has a history of writing books that are in the same format, in the same genre as this book.
Right. And recently she's been promoted to head writer of DC Comics, especially for Batman books. And the attempt for having her in charge of a lot of these different names is to get more people from different backgrounds into comics, like more people in the community and from different parts of the world. And by having more people in charge of the story, they believe they'll bring more people into buying the books.
Which personally to me means not only is Mariko Tamaki out of touch, so is DC. Because that is how much of the manga was written, because so many people in Japan as well as around the world love the characters from DC and Marvel as well. And they, a lot of their characters are homages or have tributes that you immediately recognize that are favorites, like Batman, Spider-Man, and so many others that we don't want to name here. They're completely out of touch because you would already know that they are familiar with those characters, and they were reading the comics till you turn them to garbage. So now you're going to try to woo them back with more garbage.
Yes.
And the reason this is garbage is because, sorry, this is not something that was needed. It's not something that we were desiring.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say before we move on is that comics already appealed to a wide range of people and countries around the world.
Right.
And there are people of all different walks of life who love comics. So again, because they're completely out of touch, if they think this particular comic written about a teenage girl who hates her mom because she's doesn't look like her and because she's famous and because she's a superhero,
yes,
and she hates her and wants to show her she's not her and she isn't, is not going to bring back anybody to DC Comics.
Exactly.
Let alone the women you say that you're trying to draw. I am a woman. Haskell is a woman.
I am a
and
woman.
I don't use this word often, but we ain't reading this.
Oh gosh! And here's the icing on the cake. If you can tell by the name, Miss Tamaki is Japanese. So for some reason, someone at DC Comics believes because you got a Japanese person writing a comic, that's automatically gonna make it good.
Now, the people who write all of the manga that are really that people relate to and they're fantastic and there's loads of it, they're mangaka. This is their profession. This is what they do. It's not someone that's being named or something that's been pulled out of a hat and they decide to throw into the mix and try to get people back. These people love what they do. It's their life. They've been loving it since they were children, and they do it no matter the pay, no matter what's happening. This is what they love.
Right.
Now, we're not saying that Miss Tamaki doesn't love what she does, but it looks like to us that Disney pulled her out of a hat and hoped that because of her style of writing, she would use this novel to bring people back.
Right.
Not gonna happen.
Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's this book about that's just so awful?
Yes.
But so many of you have probably already heard it from YouTube and Twitter and comicbook.com. It has pretty much gone viral for just being just incredibly offensive to comic book readers.
Well, just in case you don't know, Rascal, tell them the story.
Sure. Now, I Am Not Starfire is about Starfire's teenage daughter. Her name is supposed to be Nightstar.
And in case you don't know, Starfire is from the Teen Titans universe.
Right. And Nightstar is actually an existing character. However, for the graphic novel series, she's been reimagined. And this version of Nightstar has been reimagined to actually represent the writer herself, Mariko Tamaki. If you pay attention to the character on the cover of the preview and the writer herself, she's basically written herself as the character both in looks, in design, and personality.
And that seems to be something that's really become a huge thing in America with the new novels and comics that come out. The writers
are all
put themselves exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're writing an original novel or original comic and making yourself an original character, we're all for that. Do that. We'll read it. We love creativity, ingenuity,
right,
and new characters.
That'd be something we would love to read.
But not taking a character that already exists and making it you, and then telling people, oh, you're going to relate to it because it's me and this is my story.
Right. And here's the thing, the way she wrote this version of Nightstar, which is pretty much herself, only appeals to either herself or other readers who are like her in terms of, who want to read that and want to see themselves in the books. I
have to disagree with that. I don't even think it's going to appeal to them. Because to me, when you write a book that specifically targets one group,
or yourself,
not even a group of people, that targets someone that's just like you,
it's going to be very slim.
Well, the first problem with that is every person is unique and an individual.
Right.
Every person has experiences and a life that's different from everyone else's.
Right.
And all the differences are celebrated. But then she writes this book that doesn't celebrate those differences, that celebrates her.
Right.
And what she represents. And she wants only those people
to buy the book,
are lined up with her ideology and what she thinks to love this.
Right.
We're going to have a real, comics are supposed to appeal to a massive audience.
Right.
And people of all walks of life, the way they're written and the way the characters are designed and the personalities and just the characters themselves appeal to a vast variety of people. If you're writing a book to appeal to someone that's only like you, then we have an issue.
Right. Now, not only is Nightstar designed to look like Miss Tamaki, it's also described when you read the synopsis of the book that apparently she does not want to be in the shadow of her mother, Starfire. We don't know if Robin slash Nightwing slash Dick Grayson, whatever, is the father. We only see about Starfire. But it seems as if, according to the previews and the description, she did enjoy being with her mother a lot. But as she turned to a teenager, somehow it turned from loving to downright despising her own mother. Mm-hmm. And she wants to be nothing like her. So she goes immediately into a goth style. She disrespects her mother a lot. She feels overshadowed by her, and she'll never and she's not gonna be good enough like her, and feeling put down. Well, then we also have a story of her coming out, which she seemed to think her mother will have a problem with, when Starfire never has a problem with anything. Exactly. Really. That's not that's not violent. Right. And apparently this character has now grown to hate her, and her life is super, because now she's in their words, high and mighty and scantily clad, and basically the story just demoralizes Starfire into looking like she doesn't know how much damage she's doing because she's an airhead, and the daughter is the hero because she does not want to be a superhero. Which is very strange, because your entire company is based off a superhero. So what is this book's message by saying you're better off not being a hero?
And you're better off not being like your mom. Well, first of all, you're not going to be like your mom. I'm not Starfire, because you're not your mom. Again, you're an individual, you're someone else. If you were doing these things because you're really expressing who you are, that would be fine. But the way the book is presented in every review and everything we've looked at is to intentionally be the opposite of what her mom represents. Right. How are you being yourself when your goal is to be the opposite of someone else? Your goal should be you. Right. Your goal should be, forgive me guys. Right. To be you. Right. That should be your goal. To be whom you are. Everything that you are. No matter what you are. No matter what you believe. But this is not what this book is about. Is revealing yourself to be whom you are. Yeah. It's about matricide and not wanting to be your mom and spewing hate.
Yeah. And to be fair, it sounds like, Miss Tamaki doesn't really like Starfire. Heck, probably doesn't like superheroes in general. So the question comes in, if this is how the writer feels, and if this is actually true and not just what she wants this version of the character to be like, then why would you write for a comic book company that majority of what they write is superheroes?
Because they're paying her. But why would DC choose her?
Exactly.
That's the bigger question.
Yeah, why would you choose someone that hates superheroes to write superheroes and tell you, don't be a superhero? They are obnoxious.
It's almost as if this is an attempt to derail, which isn't going to happen, the sale of manga like My Hero Academia.
Yeah, like a
You are not going to do that. Manga, there's the great thing about manga is there's something for everyone. There's something for everything you like, every type of genre, every type of person.
Without ever having to think too hard about it.
And without tearing down others to do it. Everyone's represented in manga. Now, if you think that this particular book that you've put on this narrow pathway is going to outsell manga and derail it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get back, DC, to what made you great in the beginning. And the things that made you great are not outdated and irrelevant.
Right.
They still are relevant today. And they still mean a lot to comic book readers all over the world.
Exactly.
And to people in general. And until you get back to what DC stands for and what made DC Comics great, these attempts at trying to get our attention away from manga is not going to work.
And I think you were onto something what you just said just a few moments ago. It feels like, to quote one of my favorite reviewers I'm subscribed to, this almost feels like a sneer to My Hero Academia, as if what she's portraying in this book is like, oh, you want to be a hero? You are a superhero? Well, like you're annoying. You think you have an ego. You're not high and mighty. It's sort of like, well, what is this? Why are there suddenly... You always have teens and kids loving superheroes. Not all of them like them, understandably. That's okay. They can have some characters that don't like heroes or don't care for them or just not into it.
Absolutely.
She can write that all she wants and it's perfectly natural. But to have almost this entire book's message being that you should not aspire to be a superhero almost feels like they're trying to say like the MHA's entire premise is pointless. Like, oh, you don't need this.
And then that means that DC is pointless because a lot of characters in MHA clearly were influenced by Disney characters, including Batman and Joker, villains,
and
so
Marvel,
forth.
and
Right. So, will we read this book when it comes out? Most likely, because
we gotta see the madness that's about to come out.
And then give you an update on whether we were looking at this all wrong, but it looks like from everything we're seeing and from everything that's being presented that no, what you see is what you get. Will it succeed? We're going to say no.
Right.
Will people want to see more of this? We're going to say no.
Right, but they'll do it anyway.
And, well, all I can say is, Tamaki, I hope you love what you do. And I hope you love this book.
Right.
Because you'll at least have one fan.
Now, we do have to admit one thing. We read recently a Beast Boy graphic novel. And while we didn't love it, we thought it wasn't bad. It was a much better attempt at a reimagining. And once again, it was a self-insert, but it didn't try to overhaul the entire character into somebody totally different or spew out some type of false message. It was just a little strange to see it, but it did make an attempt to do something creative with the character.
Yes.
So, there is a bright spot. Not every graphic novel that DC has put out is bad. Some need some retooling or some work, but some can be enjoyable, and some of them do have some good ideas in them. But to put out things like Gotham High and I Am Not Starfire to derail to try to make a downfall of superheroes and you're a superhero company is a very bad idea.
Definitely. Now, we know you haven't read this book because it's not out yet, but let us know what you think of the future of DC Comics. Do you agree with our observations? Do you have an opposite view? Let us know truly what you think. We love to hear it. Also, do you think this is something you would want to read? Let us know that as well. And if you do decide to read I Am Not Starfire, because you know you're not, let us know what you thought in the comments below. We can't wait to hear from you, and we can't wait for DC Comics to see how we really feel about our heroes.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not like this.
Right. So, don't forget to like, subscribe, and notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and Molded Paws videos.
Yes, because we got more coming for you this year. More.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.